First of all, just gut check, stop. Anyone who's using the term surge around you consciously is trying to invoke a militaristic frame. This is not a surge. These are children, and they are not insurgents, and we are not being invaded.
Let me start out by saying this. If I offend anybody today, I don't give a shit.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just went head-to-head with Trump's no-nonsense border czar, Tom Homan, in yet another fiery showdown. This isn't just a debate over immigration, it's a verbal slugfest that's got MAGA fuming and AOC's fans cheering. We've got 6 epic clashbacks from AOC that left Homan scrambling, plus a bonus deep dive into what this feud means. Straddle up, people, because we're diving into an explosive showdown.
Legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you enter the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
First, let's meet our fighters. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, is the progressive powerhouse from New York. Elected in 2018 at just 29, she's a Latina firebrand, pushing for immigrant rights and slamming what she calls inhumane border policies. On the other hand, Tom Homan's the grizzled veteran of immigration enforcement. He's a former cop turned ICE director under Trump from 2017 to 2019, known for spearheading the zero-tolerance policy that separated thousands of families at the border. Homan's all about law and order. He said, per The Telegraph, if you're here illegally, you're gone, period. Now in 2025, Trump's brought him back as border czar, with Homan vowing for Fox News to launch the largest deportation operation in U.S. history. These two are oil and water, one's fighting for compassion, the other's doubling down on crackdowns. The New York Post has tracked their tension since day one, and it's a clash of titans. So where did it all start? Let's rewind. The origin of the spat.
And so the recommendation of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommend zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father from his family.
With all due
Picture this, July 2019, a packed House Oversight Committee room. AOC's a freshman rep grilling Tom Homan, then acting ICE director over Trump's family separation policy. This was peak outrage. Images of kids in cages were everywhere, and Homan's in the hot seat. He defends it hard, saying, if you're an American citizen and get arrested for DUI with your kid in the car, you're separated. It's the same thing. He's framing migrants as lawbreakers, arguing per the Times of India that illegal entry justifies splitting families. AOC fires back. These are asylum seekers, not criminals. They're fleeing danger. Homan snaps. Then go through a port of entry. Do it legally.
Mr. Homan, with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you enter the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made...
I don't make the laws, I enforce them. It's heated, it's viral. X posts from that day blew up with twitchy team calling it a showdown for the ages. MAGA loves Homan's tough stance, but AOC saw it as dodging accountability. Fast forward to 2025, Homan's back with a vengeance, promising on Newsmax to deport millions and blaming open border radicals like AOC for the chaos. That set the stage for her clapbacks. Ready for the first one? Let's go. Clapback number 1, we make the laws here, not you.
In my 34 years, I've never seen such hate toward a law enforcement agency in my life that you want to abolish them rather than doing your job and legislate.
Mr. Homan, your
if
time
they don't
is
like
expired.
it, legislate. You cannot. I don't
Mr.
think
Homan,
Congress
according
is
to
in
the rules
habit
of this committee,
of enacting laws.
Mr. Homan,
they
your
want to
time
enforce.
is expired. The chair now recognizes Ms. Hill.
Clapback number 1 hits at the 2019 hearing. Homan's leaning on his "I just enforce the law" defense, saying Congress wrote the rules he follows. Basically, don't blame me, blame yourselves. AOC's not having it. She leans in, voice sharp, and says, "We make the laws here, not you." Then slams the gavel like she's ending a rap battle. X lit up with reactions. Twitchy team posted, "Homan wrecked it." She's responding to Homan's attempt to shift blame, reminding him that Congress, not ICE, sets policy, and that he's accountable for how it's carried out. Homan's perspective? He told Fox News later he was just doing my job, and saw AOC as naive about border security. MAGA ate it up, but AOC's point stuck. Enforcement doesn't excuse cruelty. This was her opening shot. Want to see her sharpen the blade? Next up, clapback number 2. Maybe he can learn to read.
Went after Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for hosting a webinar for immigrants called Know Your Rights with ICE. I want to play what you said. Are you suggesting that she should be prosecuted?
I'm suggesting, and I'd ask the Department of Justice, where's that line on impediment, right? It's a broad statute. So I know impeding with someone stopping in front of me and putting their hands on my chest so you're not coming in here and arrest that guy, that's clearly impeding. But at what line, where's the line on impeding? So I'm asking the Department of Justice, who are the prosecutors, and decide who they prosecute and what the standards of that prosecution is. I simply says, at what point is that impeding? Because you can call it know your rights all you want. We all know what the bottom line is. The bottom line is how they invade law enforcement. Don't open your door. Don't answer questions. Here's what we're talking about. We're talking about people here in the country legally with a criminal conviction who had due process at great taxpayer expense and were ordered deported by a federal judge, but became a fugitive. And we're talking about don't open your door to ICE. You know, you don't have to answer questions. I think it's more about how to invade law enforcement, not to get arrested, even though there's a federal warrant for your arrest. How to evade that rather than know your rights. Now, we can argue about that all day long. They have the right to know their rights. The Constitution said they have the right to certain rights, but also, I hope to God we're not, educating people are going to be the next murder of a college student. I've said it before. If we would have had access to the man who murdered Laken Riley in New York, he would never make the Georgia killer.
Let me just, to be fair, she said that
public safety threats escaping.
Jump to February 2025. Homan's border czar now, and he's furious about AOC's Know Your Rights webinar for migrants, teaching them stuff like ICE needs a warrant to enter your home. He storms onto Fox News, per NY Post, saying, "This is outrageous. Maybe AOC is in trouble now. I'm checking with DOJ to see if she's impending law enforcement." He's framing it as a crime, arguing it undermines ICE's ability to deport people. AOC claps back on X. Maybe she's going to be in trouble now. Maybe he can learn to read. The Constitution would be a good place to start. Brutal. She's mocking his legal threats, pointing to free speech and Fourth Amendment rights. Homan's bluster doesn't override the law. Homan fires back on X. Per Red State, she's aiding illegals, not Americans. DOJ will decide. MAGA's hyping him up, but AOC's turning his aggression into a punchline. Does he regroup? Oh, he tries. Next chapter's a doozy. Clapback number 3. This is why you fight cowards.
I've read all these stories this week. Tom Homan insulted AOC. Well, look, it's not an insult if it's true. She says Homan has no game, he has nothing on me. Look, you can claim you're educating people according to their constitutional rights. I think she's a long ways away from being a constitutional scholar myself. Bottom line is, we know what the game is. You can claim you're educating people to their rights, but we know what the end game is. Try to tell people how to invade law enforcement. And we're talking about people who enter the country illegally, which is a crime, committed a violent act against a U.S. citizen, were ordered removed by a judge. We got members of Congress saying this is okay to educate them how to invade law enforcement. We're not making this shit up. We're enforcing the laws enacted by Congress.
Days later, Homan's still swinging. On CNN, per Rolling Stone, he doubles down, saying AOC's webinar helps illegals evade law enforcement, and he's serious about DOJ action. He paints himself as the patriot protecting America, claiming she's giving a playbook to people breaking our laws. AOC responds on X, "This is why you fight these cowards. The moment you stand up to them, they crumble." Mic drop. She's calling him out as a bully who folds under pushback, responding to his intimidation tactics with defiance. Homan's perspective? He told Newsweek he's not scared of her and sees her as a radical threatening national security. MAGA's cheering, but Salon says she's winning the PR war. His threats aren't sticking. What's he going to try next? Keep watching. Clapback number 4, he's got nothing.
We're trying to enforce the laws that Congress enacted. I believe she's a member of Congress. So if they're writing laws they don't want to enforce, I can think they got better things to do with their time. But as a member of Congress, you would think she'd want ICE to enforce the laws they enacted, that they appropriate us funding to do, and that's what we're trying to do, and she's making it more difficult and more dangerous.
Homan escalates on Newsmax per Red State, calling AOC the dumbest congresswoman ever and saying her webinars are a disgrace to law enforcement. He's personal now, fuming. She's encouraging lawlessness. I've got DOJ looking into it. AOC fires back on X. Homan has nothing. The Fourth Amendment is clear, and I'm well within my duties to educate people of their rights. He can threaten me with jail and call names all he wants. He's got nothing else. Savage dismantle. She's shredding his insults and legal scare tactics, citing constitutional protections. Homan doubles down, telling Town Hall, I've spent 34 years locking up bad guys. She's helping them. MAGA's raging, but AOC's cool-headed rebuttal exposes his bluster as empty. Can she top this? Oh, she does. Next one's fire. Clapback number 5, Paper Tigers.
Let's start with immigration and ICE. When people say, what can we do? In my community, we are a heavily immigrant community. ICE raids deeply affect and disrupt our community. So, number one, if you live in a community with a lot of immigrants, know your rights. That's one tangible thing you can do that I want you to do. And that means know your rights if you are a U.S. citizen as well.
Homan keeps at it, confirming to Fox per MSNBC that he's spoken to DOJ about AOC's webinar. He's obsessed, saying, if this isn't impeding justice, I don't know what is. I'm not letting it slide. He's pitching himself as the tough cop cleaning up AOC's mess. She responds in a statement, the best way to handle paper tigers is to call their bluff. Short, sharp, and lethal. She's framing his threats as hollow, a bluff she's not sweating. Salon calls it a masterclass in brushing off intimidation. Homan hits back on X per Fox News. She can laugh all she wants. Laws matter. MAGA still in his corner, but AOC's making him look desperate. Can she land one more blow? The final clapback is epic. And that's clapback number 6. Pick the wrong Latina.
Well, first of all, I think she's, I won't go after her on
Tom,
national
please
TV
do. Please do. Say what's on your mind. It's a holiday.
Look, she's the dumbest congresswoman ever elected to Congress, and she proves that every day. And look, bottom line is, I can't believe any member of Congress, Republican, Democrat, Independent, would want to educate criminal illegal aliens who are in the country illegally, been convicted of a violent crime, and have been ordered removed by an immigration judge after due process at great taxpayer expense. You got a congressman or congresswoman that does not want ICE to do the job that Congress has mandated them to do and funds them to do.
February 20th, Raw Story drops a gem. Columnist Julia Ricardo Varela writes, Homan picked the wrong Latina by targeting AOC. She runs with it, telling MSNBC there's a difference between backlash and earning support. I'm fighting for families. It's a clapback with soul. She's responding to Homan's relentless attacks per Common Dreams, which threaten free speech and immigrant communities. Homan's on Fox and Friends growling, she's not fighting for Americans, she's fighting for illegals who shouldn't be here. He's leaning hard into his America First stance, claiming her actions embolden cartels. AOC flips it, framing herself as the fearless Latina, standing up to MAGA's bully. Her base loves it. Homan's stuck on repeat. What's this all mean? Let's unpack it next. What's AOC really fighting for?
Members. And at that point, we asked to enter one of the cells. We were allowed to speak to the women, and these are the women that we spoke to. It's their handwriting. And while we are being asked to speak only to officers, we are not getting the accounts of migrants, of their treatment, of what they are experiencing. And so when these women tell me that they were put into a cell and that their sink was not working, and we tested the sink ourselves and the sink was not working, and they were told to drink out of a toilet bowl, I believed them.
So what's behind AOC's clash with Homan? As a congresswoman, she's got a platform and she's using it to challenge Trump's immigration crackdown head. Homan's 2025 plan, per NY Post, is to deport millions, targeting even long-term residents. He said on Newsmax, "If you're undocumented, you're a priority. I don't care how long you've been here." AOC sees this as a war on vulnerable people. Think families, dreamers, folks fleeing violence. Her Know Your Rights push and clapbacks aren't just flexes. They're defiance against what she calls, per The Intercept, a deportation machine. Critics like Homan argue she's soft on crime, saying on Fox, "Open borders kill Americans. Look at the fentanyl stats." But AOC's district, diverse, immigrant-heavy, demands she fight back. Vox notes she's risking political capital to shift the narrative from lawbreakers to humans. Is she winning? Homan's MAGA base says no, but her viral moment suggests she's got the upper hand in the culture war. Where's this headed? That's the million-dollar question. There you have it, 6 times AOC torched Homan and MAGA, plus the biggest picture of this border brawl. From 2019's gavel slam to 2025's Latina pride, she's turned Homan's tough talk into a punching bag. Will he keep swinging? Will AOC keep dominating? Tell me what you think in the comments. I'm all ears. Smash that like button, subscribe for more political drama, and I'll see you in the next one.